Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Secrets to Recovery, man. We back with another one. Right back at you. Let's get it, man. So what's wrong with being average? That's gonna be the question of the day. Kind of feel like we've been misled on that. And it's just my take, man. What do I know? But first, Secrets to Recovery, brought to you by God's Chosen Ones and the God's Chosen Ones organization. Doing some powerful work over there as always. Also in conjunction with Stop the Bullying and Violence Now tour. They doing their thing over there, tied in with Man True Radio up there in New York, up top. Gotta send a shout out to Spalding Soul Savers, man. They doing some good work out there, man. Rebuilding the youth, man. Showing them another way, changing the narrative. Yo, how my man Josh used to say, hey man, say man. He really did his thing on that, man. Music brought to you by Beats Provider. Man, they're giving out free beats, man. Check them out over there on YouTube. And we gonna jump in like this. Yeah. Let's go, man. Reporting for duty, man. We breaking this down. We're gonna clear some things up today. That's for sure. All right. Slow that down. So the topic is gonna be, what's the big deal with being average? You know, we've been given this message of if you're average, you're a failure. And that's just not the truth. So let's take a look over here. We got a good presentation set up for you. Let me get that pulled up here real quick. So bang, got that. Gonna go right over into this, just like that. Bang, right? So average is okay, you know, but according to society, not so. So check this out. So Eric Thomas, you got to really look at his work on YouTube and everywhere you can find him at. I'm sure they're on all the platforms. Real powerful speaker, motivator. He's doing some powerful work out there. And I remember when I first ran across him. I mean, he's great at what he does. Great at what he does, for sure. And I remember when I ran across him, I was sitting in a room that had been given to me because I couldn't afford to, take care of myself. And I was, in this transition home, and I was being given this chance to kind of rebuild my life, which in turn is what we pay forward to residents as they come through the God's Chosen Ones transition homes. But as I was listening to Eric Thomas, he just inspired me to do something better with my life. And I picked out a little video here real quick. I want you to just hear this real quick and just hear how powerful this is. Check this out.
So say it with me. I will never be average. On three, 1, 2, 3.
I will never be average.
All right, some of you saying it.
I'm saying that.
I will never be average. Say it like you mean it. 1, 2, 3. Good, I'm feeling it. 1, 2, 3. I will take ownership. We're gonna add that. 1, 2, 3. I love it. She got it. We're gonna do it together.
Wow, right? So, I mean, you could just imagine. And if you're feeling down and you need like a little boost, please go on YouTube and look up Eric Thomas, because he's going to be powerful in what he's telling you. But the thing is, and what I didn't realize, and he don't agree, because to people that aren't average, to people that are above average and have skills like that, to them it seems like anybody can do this. Anybody could be this. They really sincerely feel like that. But that's not true. Eric Thomas is not average. But the thing is he didn't give himself that. God raised him up. God gave him the ingredients that he would need to go on and do these great things and really just inspire a lot of people, which he's great at that. But he feels like inside that anybody could do that. You know, they have these courses and things. Anybody could do this. But it's just not true. Check this out. Les Brown, he's another one that powerful speaker. You will get a lot out of going onto YouTube for free and hearing what these guys have to say. But Les Brown, he came with this one. Now check this one out. I'm gonna play this one right here. Listen to this. I'm listening to this as I'm sitting in my room with nothing. You know, I'm not blaming anybody for that. That was totally my fault. But the thing was I'm looking at these people and thinking, you know, I could do this too. But when you look into the backgrounds of these people and you look at how they came up and how they, you know, it was God working in their life and put them on these paths. And to the most part, most people would agree with that to the most part. But we like to look at these things and think, I could be that. Check this out.
I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up. And maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about
I'm gonna stop right there. Matter of fact, I'm
something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now.
Seems like it makes sense.
I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something?
I want him to finish this.
That can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream. What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible.
Bang. And I'm going to stop it right there because that when I first saw that, that's all I saw. That's all I heard, rather, was it's possible. There's that slim chance I could get it. And so we are trained to look at that. But if you really go back into what he said there was winners, losers, and those who just need a little help, basically. You know, and you can see right there, he's drawing clear definitions. There's going to be this group, that group, and this group. Who is in those groups? We're not in control of that as we've been led to believe, especially if you're a Christian and you follow a sovereign God. But you could see these people, when you look at back in their lives, they had been carried. When you hear that footprints poem, where Jesus is telling the person, I carried you through these times. You know, you could see if it wasn't for that, none of us would have anything. Check this out. Let's move forward here. Now this is where I really started to get into this. I'm gonna turn this off for a second because this is where I really started to pick up on this, is when I went into statistics class. And I kind of feel like they should teach this earlier in life because it really gives you a solid idea of how things are. But I promise it won't be too boring, but I do want to just give a quick little lesson here on the bell curve and how in the middle here, where you see it says average, the rest of us, that space there in the middle, that's basically the average of people, right? At the peak of that curve there, at the very top, almost where it touches that smiley face, that's the exact middle. Like this is the exact middle of a situation or of a, what could happen. And you'll either be in that whole, the big part of that area, you'll either be above average, or below average, right? Then you look off to the edges where the curve kind of comes to an end, off to the either side there. And you see the line comes down and then it stops. But where I have those two lines drawn vertically, from those points outward, those are your outliers. Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Bill Gates, these guys that just went through impossible situations. And these guys, of course, are extremely gifted. They've been given things and given a path, especially when you look at stories in the Bible like Pharaoh, where he says, I raised you up. I put you in this position. And I know the message is that we should be, looking at things like everything's possible and really going for that. But the truth is that the potter makes the clay however he feels. And the truth is some people are going to be at a way high end, some people are going to be at a low end. And that's just how it is. But really, God is in control of all of that. And I named a couple examples, but that was in the positive end. Let's check out the negative end. Check this out real quick. I'm going to jump back over here and switch to this one here. This is about a little boy named Amari Stover. He was born with facial tumors. And I'm going to play this video, and I'll be honest, man, it makes me tear up a little bit because this little boy didn't choose this. He didn't choose to look like this. And I don't understand why some surgeons and people can't get together and help this kid, but he was born on the other end of the spectrum that we don't pay any attention to. We only look to the Bill Gates and the Eric Thomases. We only look there. But look at this kid right here and tell me that his decisions aren't going to be, at least in some way, influenced by his condition. That he didn't free willingly give himself. Watch this right here.
No, I'm just like any other little boy. Sorry. I know the last time I took him to a park, there were some kids that told him he looked like a monster, and he hasn't been back to that park ever since. So I had to tell him that I had to tell him that he's not a monster. He's just been through a lot. He goes through a lot.
That's so sad. That's so sad because he didn't do that to himself. And if he grows up and he makes a bad decision, he's going to be punished for it by society. And they're going to say, well, you had a free will. And in some ways they're right, but man, he didn't choose this for himself. Imagine he's going to public school. Imagine. And I'd like to think that kids today are a lot more liberal than they used to be, and a lot more kinder and things. But kids are kids, man. They're going to be brutal. And you're telling me that this kid doesn't get any, You know, especially when you look at the whole free will argument, you know, this kid doesn't, you know, get the benefit of the doubt a little bit, knowing that, you know, this is what he has to live through. But I want you to take a look here at the positive end too, because that's where we see all of our heroes at, and all of our, you know, just especially when you look at comic books and you see these X-Men and all these things, it just over dramatized examples of the heroes we have in this world, these statistical anomalies that they just defy all logic and everything, you know. Check this out. This is Elena Anale Wicker. She was already accepted into medical school at 13 years old. Graduated high school at 12 years old. I mean, I can't even imagine. You know, but the truth is that she didn't give that to herself. Let me switch back over to this real quick. She didn't give that. She didn't give that to herself. God gave her that because he has a specific mission for her. And he gave her what she would need to complete the mission. That's really all we all have. Let me go back over here. You know, more and more people are killing themselves. Suicide rate climbing because people feel so inadequate. People have this message that just to be normal, you failed. And that's what they're screaming all over the internet. Kids are seeing this. People that are trying their hardest, you know, seeing this. Think about those that are suffering from addiction. Some people, you know, they can, especially when it comes to statistics, because the people that unleashed these opioids, they understood this math. Some people, they can try a drug, take it, walk away. No problem. Wasn't for me. Some people, they're going to try that drug and they're not going to be able to live without it. And the truth of the matter is that those individuals, whether side of that you're on, either side of that you're on, those individuals did not give that to themselves. And that's a big downside of why a lot of the addiction treatments, especially in the aftercare field, or why a lot of those aren't working. You know, they don't work on a big, large scale. And a lot of that is because of this idea that it's your fault. You're the one that's causing this. And if you don't do anything spectacular, you failed in this life. That's the message that we get. Consider Paul. Consider Paul and the thorn that he had. That we don't know what that was, but consider the fact that, you know, he couldn't take that away from himself. God chose to leave that there for a purpose. Check this out. I want you to picture it like this. You're at a gun range. There's two targets. One's easy to hit. One's smaller to hit. The bigger one, that's the average. That's easy. Go to school, job, career, get married. Maybe you have some investments. You leave a little bit behind. That's the normal thing. You go to school, you do all that. Wealthy, CEO, 6-figure, high earner. That's a small target. And this is the thing. Just because you've gotten into average, that's not failure. We've only been given that idea. You know, Eric Thomas, he'll scream out, I'm not average. And I know it feels good, but like Pharaoh, God raised you up. It wasn't because you got up at 3 a.m. It wasn't because you were able to complete all this schooling. It was because God put something in you to do all these things. It wasn't a course that you took. And I'm not hating on Eric Thomas. He's a great man. He's so needed in this world today, especially, you know, the motivation and inspiration that he brings, such a great need. But the thing is that not everybody's going to be at Eric Thomas, and that's okay. It's okay if you're not great. In God's eyes, you were just what was needed to fulfill his plan. Without you, it wouldn't have come together. That's the truth. Check this out here. Here's what they don't tell us about the targets, though. When they're telling you, keep aiming for it, keep going for it. This is what they're not telling you. I got a little room I can come back on here. But what they're not telling you is this: as you're at the gun range, we're just using it as an analogy, but it works the same. You're at this gun range of life, per se. They don't tell you that you only have limited ammo and you don't know how much. Some guys have one shot. Other guys have 1,000,000. But the truth was, God's in control of how many shots you get to take. It's not you. It's not the individual that we see that's so great. That's why it says we can't boast. You know, talks a lot about that in the New Testament. You know, Eric Thomas will say that, you know, average will be waiting for you if you miss. You know, if you miss and you do all this and try and it doesn't work, you can always just go back to average. But the truth is as you're shooting at the one target, the other target that was big and easy to hit, now that one's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So now you get to a point in life where they're both equally hard to hit. Think about it. As the older you get, it's going to be harder to find a partner. The older you get, it's going to be harder to go in and rebuild a new career and and learn new things. It's harder to learn things the older you get. That's just how our brains are. So they don't tell us any of this. We don't realize this. That it won't just be there if you decide, hey, I'm going to just go back. It may not be there. Now you're stuck trying to aim. You don't know if it's your last shot. You're standing there terrified because you've missed so many times when you were meant for average. But there's a lot you can do in average. You can have investments. You could have a good wife, kids. Your legacy lives on. When you look at a lot of the people that are on either spectrum, whether you're extremely an outlier to the negative or extremely an outlier to the positive. Either way, either side of those, they all want to be in the middle. That's the crazy thing. Consider Michael Jackson. He used to rent out a grocery store just so he could feel what it's like to shop in a store and nobody knows who he is. He would stay at random people's houses. Well, not random to him, but it would seem random to the public. He's sleeping in somebody's basement just so he could feel a little bit what it's like to be in the middle. And then, of course, you have your extreme, like my man Amari, who he would give anything to be where those in the middle are. So what's the conclusion here? Oops. Let me pull this in a little bit. Hold on a second. Let me line this up. This thing's acting up already. Okay. Oop, hold up. Real quick. Sorry, guys. I know you're loving this one. Hold on. I know what's going on. Okay, well, either way. The conclusion is this. First of all, it's okay to be average, normal. Shoot for the good things in life. Like if you're a kid in school, go to school. Be regular. When they talk about being great, you know what? When I see a kid and they're doing good in school or they just haven't been any kind of legal trouble, man, that's such an amazing feat to me because these kids today have so much to be influenced by. When my generation was growing up, we didn't quite have all of this social media and all this kind of stuff that will target us every day, all day, 24/7. It's okay to be average. It's So many people feel inadequate today, and it's unnecessary because we're all great in our own way. What we don't realize is the average have the most power. That's why they got to keep us divided with all these politics and Fox News, and MSNBC. They got to keep us divided because whatever you feel about the whole January 6th situation, those were people in the average that did that. And if we all had came together and did something like that, there would be nothing they could do to stop us. So they got to keep the average. Those are the ones that they're worried about. They're not concerned with the ones on the outliers because there's only so many of them. The average, those are the ones they have to control. But when you think about it, from the beginning of this country, when you go back to the Revolutionary War, and you go back to all these wars, it's always the average that go. The guys in the middle that go. The Donald Trumps don't go. The George Bushes don't go. It's the people in the middle. When you look at the Revolutionary War and how they said, hey, the British are coming. It was the people in the middle that strapped up. So we should be proud of who we are to be in the middle, just to be normal. Because there's so many people that would give anything. I work in a lot of hospitals, and I see the pediatric units, and these kids are laying there, and they would give anything. I'm complaining because I have to do my job that day. But this kid would give anything. So I just want to put this out there because I feel like we as a society are getting trapped into having these blinders on where all we can see is the extreme great. And we look out there and say, well, maybe I could be that too. But what's wrong with what you are? Anyway, my name's Warren Garrett, Secrets to Recovery. Back at you with another one, some solid teaching. If you need any help, a place to go, a place to stay, please reach out to us, www.godschosenones.org. And we're going to try to get you some help, man. And till next time, please choose greatness.